Hey everybody, we're back again today with some movie talk. We're doing another casting video. We did The Godfather last time and really enjoyed doing that. So this time we're going to take on Alfred Hitchcock. We're going to do 4 different videos with Hitchcock, the master of suspense, 4 legendary films, starting with Rear Window, Vertigo, North by Northwest, and Psycho. Those are the 4 big ones we're going to tackle. And of course, I'm here with my movie buddies, Brian, AYBL Maine, also known as Massey's Maine Entertainment. Please subscribe to him. He does have a channel, and we'd like to see you go over there and give him some subs if you haven't already. And Doc, of course, is with us, our regular partner. We've been doing this for over a year now, different movie stuff, different genres, different decades. And Brian had the idea of recasting some of these classics. We all thought it was a great idea. So where do you go from The Godfather? Well, you go to Alfred Hitchcock. That's where we're going.
Right.
We're going to go back and roll back the time and go back into the 50s, into the early 60s, and see what we can do with this. What we're going to do is we're going to do these one at a time, short videos, rather than have everybody sit through these massive hour-long videos. So hopefully we can get this done in 15, 20 minutes and move on. We're going to take the 3 lead characters in our first film, which is Rear Window from 1954, starring Jimmy Stewart, Grace Kelly, and Raymond Burr. Those are the 3 we're going to recast. Guys, it's challenging, but fun nonetheless. What'd you think?
Yeah, I'm glad we had some time to mull this one over. This was, at first you're thinking, 3 characters, that's no big deal, right? You should be able to wing that out. But then it's like, Hitchcock films just have a certain feel to them, and each film has a certain rhythm to them that you really got to be very particular about who you throw in there. And just like Hitchcock is particular about who he casted in his films. I mean, I felt like I had to be just as particular. So,
Doc?
I feel pretty close to what Brian's talking about here. It's
Yeah.
I'm happy we had time. Yes, very much so.
We needed the time. Yeah.
My list turned into one of our movie or music lists. I had so much written down for names and actors and actresses over so much time there. It was just like, okay, who do I cross off? And you're just trying to do the movie justice, trying to do Hitchcock and what he was thinking, and how would I do it now if I was in his shoes, and who would I really like to lead these parts? You're really trying to do the movie justice, I think. And you can't just throw a name in there because you think it's an okay name to throw in there because of something. You're throwing the name in there because you think the person can actually handle what you're actually looking for them to do in the part. So I think that hopefully, I'm sure we've all got some pretty solid picks on how we do things on these movies. But yeah, you can't go wrong, but it's still a really tough choice to do too. So.
Yeah. And these are obviously harder to match up than some of the music stuff we've done with songs or albums, because there's so many different actors out there. And of course, we don't discuss this beforehand. So we're going in blind, saying we don't know each other's picks. And we didn't really match up on any specific role in The Godfather. So I don't expect to do it here either.
There's a couple of actors I think that we had in
Kinda
the
crossed
film,
over.
but we had them in completely different roles.
Yeah, I remember
And justifiably, I mean, I like the justification you guys had for where you put them. I mean,
Ryan Gosling was a guy that he had in 2 different roles in The Godfather, but I think he was the only one. There may have been one more, but I can't recall who it was.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who the other one was. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I almost had Oscar Isaac as the part of Michael.
That's right. He almost came in.
Yeah.
And there were a couple others that were on our consideration list. But
we rang off a bunch of names that were overlapping on who we were actually thinking about anyway on certain roles. So might have that same problem again.
Yeah, I think so too. Just to refresh everybody's memory of how this works, we're going to cast as they are now, not actors working today that are alive, current active actors and actresses, and who they best, how they fit into these roles, not necessarily by looks, more like ability, persona, that type of thing, character, nuance, whatever you want to say. It's you can look different than the person who originally played the role, like Jimmy Stewart in this case, and still be able to pull the role off. So that's what we're doing. It's just a feel for what we think. Anyway, introducing the first movie, we're going to start with Rear Window from 1954. Based on the short story, It Had to Be Murder. And in this case, Jimmy Stewart is the lead actor. He's playing a guy named L.B. Jeffries. He's kind of laid up. He's a professional photographer. He's got a broken leg from his hip down to his ankle, or his toes, really, recuperating in his apartment, confined to a wheelchair. He's got a full-length cast, like I said. And he's he's bored to death. He's sitting there looking out the window at the other side of the courtyard and taking in what's going on. He's naming different people like Miss Hollybody or whatever. I can't remember the exact names of the people across the courtyard, but there's different characters. One that's exercising, one Miss Lonely Hearts, different characters out there. And he notices a certain guy who's taking care of his invalid wife or sickly wife. And through the passage of time, all of a sudden she's not there anymore. There's some activities going on in the courtyard garden where he may have dismembered or buried a body or whatever. And that's the plot. There's also a Grace Kelly character who's Jimmy Stewart's girlfriend, a socialite, beautiful woman. And we're going to take these on one at a time. Like I said, the lead actors, Jimmy Stewart, Grace Kelly is the wife or the girlfriend, and Raymond Burr played the original mysterious man across the courtyard named Lars Thorwald. Yeah. So those are the characters. Today's order is Brian, Doc, myself. We just lost Doc.
There he is.
Hopefully back.
You're back.
There we go.
Just a glitch, ladies and gentlemen. No big deal. Brian's going to go first, then Doc, then me. And rather than go character by character, we're going to present our cast, and then we'll compare it as we go along. So, Brian, you're up first. What do you have for us? You can do any order you want with the three characters. I don't really care.
Yeah, okay. I think I'll go with Raymond Burr's character first, Lars Thorwald. I think really, I think we were kind of debating whether or not we were actually going to have him as, as a third character at first. And I thought it was kind of important to have him, since he's really kind of, the activities in the apartment are the MacGuffin of the film, you would think, on some level. So that was important. I looked at a couple of the stills of Raymond Burr from that film, just to kind of get a feel for an actor that I thought could like do it. And what was great about Raymond Burr was he has powerful eyes, just these deep, dark eyes that I think that just feel menacing. If he was just bearing down on you in a staring contest, that you'd flinch. Yeah. So the name that came up for me was Javier Bartom. Immediately I thought, wow. I said, yeah, that guy right there, just for his work in No Country for Old Men, would make him like the perfect character, I thought, for this particular one. So I picked him there for that one, and I thought that was going to be the perfect one. Now this one here was a little tricky, but then if I keep going back to what the character's essence was, I'm like, wow, Grace Kelly brings a lot of dignity and poise and beauty, and she's got she's able to go up and down the spectrum of different type of emotions during the film. So a name that came to mind and I stuck with it the whole time was Natalie Portman. I thought, she's just about the right age, I think, for the role, and her work in The Black Swan and Closer, and even her younger work when she was in The Professional and Beautiful Girls. I thought that she just kind of one of those young ladies that has just always carried herself with a lot of dignity and pride and upright behavior, that I thought she'd be perfect for this role as Lisa Fremont. So I wanted to put her there. And the part of L.B. Jeffries came down to like two guys. I won't mention the other guy, but because I don't want to spoil that. I picked Christian Bale, though. I just thought that, he's one of those guys that can kind of physically transform himself a little bit. Most of his acting is usually done through his face anyway. It's not like he has a lot of physical expression that he needs to have in order to get across his acting like some actors have. I mean, everything's just kind of like almost from the chest up that he was able to display a wide range of acting skill. And I thought he would be perfect for this role. When I thought of him, I'm like, yeah, his work just in The Machinist alone, when I thought about him, I just said, and American Psycho, I'm like, the guy's got the chops to do it. I just feel like he has it to do it. Yeah. So that's who I got.
Good picks.
I like all three of them. They're very
So do
good
I.
picks. Very good. Well, let's see what Doc has, man.
So, yeah, I think you described the characters pretty good there too, Brian. So, yeah, Raymond Burr is an imposing figure, but yeah, he's got menacing look to him, and just something about the character that was like, man, you didn't trust him for the first time you saw him almost on screen. So, something was fishy with him, and you didn't know what it was as you're watching the movie, right? So it's Rear Window's a classic anyway, man. But how do you feel that part for Raymond Burr? Like you said, Javier is a really good choice too. But I'd like to thank you, Brian, for The Godfather. I'll tell you that right now. So I went to Paul Giamatti, man, for this part. So
nice.
Yeah, definitely a guy I can see pulling off exactly that kind of character. Obviously, that's what I'm thinking anyway. So could he pull it off? Yeah, I think so. Javier for sure. I think could. There was other names I was thinking about, but I just kept coming back to Paul Giamatti, man. Thinking that's exact. I could just see him looking over, when he's looking at the window, and he sees, Jimmy sitting on the other side. I could see Paul just pulling that off too. So that's where I went with. That's where I went with Burr's character. You're right about Grace Kelly, man. How do you fill this one? Jesus Murphy, right, dude? Let's face it, Hitchcock liked her anyway, right? So,
yeah.
How do you do this? For all the qualities that you said, especially I think the one quality for Grace's character in the movie, I think her name was Lisa, she's still independent. She's still her own person. She still goes out, goes shopping, comes back and says what I bought and all these other things. So she's still her. She checks on her boyfriend who's laid up and stuff like that. But there's that independent side to her that I also thought that stood out as one of the characteristics that I look forward to as well. So same kind of thinking, I think, Brian, but I went with Emma Stone for this part.
Okay.
Still, I think not hard on the eyes, that's for sure. I don't think in the sense, and definitely could pull it off. And I think there's that two sides to her where she could be engaging and like curious to what's going on to his life on why he thinks something's going on. But still that independent side where she's still taking care of herself and does her things and checks in on him and all these other parts too. So that's why I went with Emma. So
nice.
How do you do Jimmy, man? It's a tough one. Christian was a name. I don't mind saying it now because you already said it, but it was a name that I had written down as one of my choices. So, but I did not go with him. I went with Bradley Cooper.
Oh.
And to me, it just came down to something in my head, that humorous side of things sometimes with Jimmy's character, even it's slight humors and stuff like that in there. I just see Cooper pulling that part off almost to a T almost in one sense, but still laid up. I can just see him picturing in the wheelchair. He's rolling around. He's got the camera. I can just see everything about almost physically the character landing into Cooper's lap. So I went with Bradley for the part of Jimmy here.
Well, that's very interesting.
So, I mean, yeah, I love that pick, by the way. That's fantastic. I mean, what would make it even more fantastic if he would use the Rocket Raccoon voice from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking at the girls next door.
Yeah. Well,
that's a great pick, Doc. I mean, wow. Yeah, I like it.
Thanks, man.
Very good. I like all your guys' picks so far. Really do. The Paul Giamatti one is very interesting because I had him as a runner-up in that same role, the Raymond Burr role. But I went a little bit different. I went with Tom Wilkinson.
Wow.
Very good.
Tom Wilkinson is good. You look across and you see a guy who just something a little off kilter about him in a lot of his roles. And that's the guy I went with. He's imposing. He's a tall man. He could probably hurt you if you wanted to. I remember the role he played a little bit off kilter in Michael Clayton, where he goes off the rails.
Yeah,
he did fantastic in that.
Even in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, very different in that. And this is the guy I went with. I know he doesn't look like Raymond Burr, but that's not the point. Originally, I had Oliver Platt, and I kept looking and I kept looking. I said, I like Tom Wilkinson better, man. And I bounced it off my wife and she goes, go with Tom Wilkinson. So that's where I went. As far as the socialite played by Grace Kelly, who was a real socialite in real life and in this particular role, I went with Margot Robbie. Margot Robbie in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, very independent, playing Sharon Tate. You see her
Yep.
going to the movies by herself and strolling around town. She has that classy look. And I think she could pull off the Grace Kelly role very well. So I went with her. And of course, in the Jimmy Stewart role, I went with Bradley Cooper. We finally hit on
Fantastic,
one.
buddy.
Wow.
I
I didn't think that was ever going to happen, actually.
I didn't either. I'm shocked.
That
That's
is
why I
shocking.
reacted the way I did when he said that, because I didn't expect to hit a match. But
No.
he was the first guy that I had in that role. I can see him with the body, that body cast or that long leg cast, sitting there. You know, he's a good looking guy, just like Jimmy Stewart, a handsome man. You need that in that role.
Yeah.
There's a lot of close-ups of his face reacting to different
Mhm.
things, especially at the end when things get a little hairy. You know, I don't want to give the plot away, but things get a little dicey there for a while. You know, he's got the little scratcher that he's going inside the cast with, and he's doing little nuanced things that somebody that is wheelchair bound can relate to. So I really, that was the guy I wanted. So Bradley Cooper, I can't believe we hit on that because I didn't think we would.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah. And we almost hit on Giamatti. I almost had Giamatti in that role too, which would have been wild.
Yeah, that would have been really weird.
Yeah. But that was really cool. I like
That was good.
So, a surprise, surprise. Can't wait
That
to
was
see what
fun.
we have in store next time. We're going to do Vertigo next,
Yep.
which is from 4 years later, 1958. So look for that next. I'd like to get some comments from the folks watching. Many people have seen Rear Window. It's an iconic movie, a classic
Sure.
on Turner Classic Movies. Maybe once in a while they're restored in a revival theater. You go see it on the big screen. It's that memorable. So leave us some comments. Who would you cast? I liked all of our picks, everybody. So I think there's obviously other people that can play the role. So please leave some comments, like, subscribe, and look for us again. We'll be back with Vertigo next time. So for Brian and Doc, this is Rich. We will see you on our next segment. Thank you.